Good evening. My name is Kevin Chang, and I'm the vice chair. I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. Our chair appears to not be absent today. So if you will join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Today is January 2nd. Happy New Year. This is our DRC meeting. Can we have roll call, please, staff?
Committee Member Chris Wong.
Present.
Committee Member Batnich.
Present.
Committee Member Johnson Brody.
Present.
Committee Member Lundgren.
Present.
Vice Chair Chang.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll first go through the procedures for this evening's meeting. Each committee member has received plans and has reviewed every item on the agenda and has visited each site. The general order for the hearing will be as follows. The committee will ask staff for any questions they may have. The chair will then ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to comment on the proposal. The hearing will then be open to the public, and the chair will ask for comments for or against or about the project. In all cases, please come forward and state your name and address. At the conclusion of the public comments, the public hearing will be closed and no further comments from the public will be accepted. The chair will then ask for comments from each of the committee members. If there are no motions for approval or denial, the DRC has the option of continuing the application to a future meeting. In the event of a denial, it is hoped that the applicant will have heard comments during the public comment period and during deliberations that will be useful in resubmitting an application. It is important for the property owner to understand that once a project is approved by the DRC, the drawings become legal documents. If any changes are made to those documents subsequent to approval without obtaining proper approval of those changes, then the property owner is in fact breaking the law. There is a risk of having to change the project back to the originally approved design or paying a fine to the city of San Marino equal to the greater of 5% of the project valuation or $2,500, and then resubmitting the changes made to the project to the DRC. It is also important to understand that there is a 15-day appeal period after an action has been taken for the applicant or any interested party to request the planning commission to review and act on the case. After all the agenda items have been heard, two design review committee members will conduct an open forum. It is at this time residents or their representatives may ask the committee members about current or future projects related to their property. Committee members can discuss the design with you, but cannot comment on how they may vote. At this time, we'll move to our public comment portion. If there's any members of the public who are not on the would like to come forward to speak on non-agendized items, now would be the time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and move on to our first agenda for the evening. Staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair. Agenda item number 1 is the oath of office for our new alternate committee member, Ben Lundgren. So if you would please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ben Lundgren,
I, Ben Lundgren,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith
and
allegiance
allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Excuse me.
And that I will well
And that I will faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
And this concludes your oath of office. Welcome.
Thank you very much. We'd like to welcome Mr. Lundgren to joining us as our alternate committee member. We'll now move on to our public hearing agenda items. Agenda item number 2. Staff.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Item number 2, design review case number DRC 13-71, located at 1515 Houston Road. The applicant is proposing to construct a first and second story addition and remodel, along with exterior modification to the existing two-story residence. Staff is able to make the finding that the proposed addition on the first floor and the second floor are compatible with the neighborhood that comprises of first and two-story buildings. Additionally, the second-story addition is not visible from the street. The garage expansion, there is a garage expansion on the first floor, and it is minimally visible, and it will not change the facade of the two-story building. Staff also finds that the material and the color will be compatible throughout the building, and staff is supporting the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of committee members to staff regarding this project? Committee member Brody.
And if you wish me to ask the applicant, then I will. On the plans, I couldn't denote for the doors in the rear of the home. You approved pretty much, from a staff recommendation, the project to make all the findings. But one of the things I couldn't really understand, because I didn't see the marking, was on the rear door. So all of the windows in the back of the house are numbered 1, and there are 4 lights. But it looks like the 2 new doors in the back have no grid system or no lights, no lighting. So I was just wondering if that's existing. It doesn't say existing, and it doesn't say new, and I can't find it on the schedule, and it doesn't seem to match all the others.
On the first floor, the bottom floor,
Yes.
those are new doors. They are patio doors.
Yes. I assume, because they're not in the previous, they're not on the existing floor plan, they're on the proposed first floor, but I couldn't find them on schedule A8, new window and door schedule. So I just, so anyways, that was my first question. Maybe I'll leave it for the architect or representative. The second question was whether there was a more clear landscape plan besides what was provided here. There's a lot of removal, but I don't really see what's going in its place.
Because the project is not doing any landscaping other than with the project, what the
So
project is
removal
necessary.
just for the proposed remodel, so there's no
Correct.
other
The footprint.
landscaping.
Disruption.
And they're working with the city to replace the trees with tree removal process.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff from committee members? Seeing none, is the applicant present?
Yes.
Please come forward and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Ron Louie. I'm the designer of this project. Happy New Year. And as you looked at the plans, to answer that one question, there's really no trees removed or anything. That the front landscaping is basically going to stay the same, and the rear also. We did not protrude to the, just in the center of the building, backyard to little backward. So there was no effect of the landscaping at all. And as far as the doors are concerned, they didn't want as many lights because it's the backyard, and they wanted more light, more visual of the backyard, where there's a little fountain there that's existing. So we left those off
Okay,
for the
thank you
back.
for that clarification.
I'd like to ask a question. I had a little bit of difficulty understanding if the, so between, on the front elevation, the north elevation, the area between the dormers seems to be changed a little bit. There's like a roof pitch there that's new, but could you explain that a little bit further?
Yeah, I just added some footage for upstairs. It was very low ceiling height, so I raised it up. I didn't bring it out as far as the dormers are, so you can still see the dormers. So basically, it was about 1.5 feet
Further
So
back, or so that it doesn't slope down
back
as
from
much?
back from the front of the dormers, so it wouldn't make the 2 dormers look like one huge dormer. So you still see the original design of the 2 dormers. Is that clear? I just had it, the slope comes down and then the dormers is up here like that, right? So I just lifted it so they would have more plate height upstairs. So, like I said, I just made sure that it didn't interfere with the look of the two dormers, what the original architect wanted to do.
Any other, does that answer your question? Manage.
I wanted to ask one more question. So the square footage that is added to the garage, are you just adding square footage to the garage? Are you just making the garage bigger, or are you adding, is that going to be like a hallway or some sort of other entrance? I couldn't quite work that out.
The garage is like indentated about 3 feet. So I'm pushing it out to the original roof overhang so they can have access to the house from the garage. Right now, there's no access to the house from the garage. They park their car and come out the garage door and enter through the front. This way, I added 3 feet to the front of the garage. Now they could park the car and have access directly to the house. So I didn't, as far as the exterior look, it's still the same.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. We'll now move to public comments. If there's any members of the public who'd like to come and speak for or against or about this project, now would be the time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and move to committee member discussions. We'll start with committee member Wall.
I think that this project is reasonably sized, and while I'm not super excited about the alterations to the facade of the home, the original outline wasn't great either, and I think it doesn't add to making it look more humongous, and in this case I'd be able to approve of the project.
Thank you. Committee member Banish.
So, I'm sorry, I just have a lot of notes here that you've addressed, and so I'm going to change kind of some of my comments according to what you said. I think that the bay window in the front makes a nice design element and adds an element of interest to that big expanse of stucco. As far as the main addition goes, I have concerns whenever I see a roof plan that becomes a lot more complex, and it was already a pretty complex roof plan for that size of a house. And especially that area in between the two existing dormers, I think it might make it look a little more awkward and make it look more tunnel-like, if that makes sense. I worry that the dormers will stick out in an unnatural way. I also have a little bit of concern that the addition and the height overall, the addition of to the height will make that second floor addition look a little bit awkward, and from the east and west elevations look a little bit like a pop-up. So although I don't think that this house can't be added to by any means, it appears to me somewhat awkward, and I wouldn't be able to support it in its current form.
Thank you. Committee member Lunder.
Yes, I think it's compatible to itself, to the building itself. I think the material is chosen and the minor additions done to the property, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So I can approve it as submitted.
Thank you very much. Committee member Johnson-Burke.
Yes, I can make all three findings for compatibility with neighborhood itself and with privacy. I actually think each one of the changes from an aesthetic point of view enhance the home on each of the elevations and add to a more livable home in terms of the interior space and the ability to go from garage to house. So I think it's a well-done plan to submit and to approve it this evening as is.
Thank you very much. I would agree with the majority of the comments. I feel like it is the addition is minimal and it's not does not impact the architectural integrity of the existing home. I would agree with fellow committee member Banich that there is I would take issue with the roof being raised in between the two dormers. However, given that the chimney effectively sits right in that sight line in between those two, that kind of odd look would be reduced from the street view. So in that instance, I would be able to be okay and comfortable with supporting the project as approved.
And I forgot one thing, I'm so sorry.
Committee member Johnson Brody?
I just forgot that it would only be a suggestion that I like compatibility, and I had brought up the windows and the doors don't match the back of the house. So I would recommend that the two doors that are new be in a grid system that matches the rest of the house. It doesn't take away from the ability to see.
Okay, thank you very much. Otherwise, I can support the project as submitted as well. Do we have a motion?
I'll make one.
Committee member Johnson Brody?
I move that we approve DRC 1860, sorry, 1371 at 1515 Houston Road, with one condition that the back windows and doors all match in the same grid system.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Committee member Huang with the second. Roll call, please.
Committee Member Lundgren,
Yes?
Committee Member Huang,
Yes.
Committee Member Batnich,
No.
Committee Member Johnson Brody,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
We'll move next.
Can we just wait a second so we can have Committee Member Lundgren move up to the dais?
Sure.
Yes, yes.
Committee member Longer, if you'd like to comment today.
I will effectively change your name.
Thank you.
Oh, actually.
We'll now move on to agenda item number 2, and for the record, I will be recusing myself for this specific project. Committee member Johnson Brody will take lead.
At this time, I would like to ask staff to please provide a staff report.
Thank you. Item number 3 is design review case number DRC 18-64, located at 2240 Robles Avenue. The applicant proposes to construct a one-story addition with exterior modifications, and staff is able to make the finding that the addition will be compatible with the existing structure and that it would actually improve the appearance of the front facade by removing the porte cochere. The overall structure would maintain compatibility with the neighborhood. However, the proposed brick bench feature in the front yard is not something that is found elsewhere within the legal neighborhood, and staff would be able to support a condition of approval allowing for a design adjustment to convert the bench into a low brick wall instead, as there are several properties along Robles Avenue which do have a front yard brick wall. Other than that, staff was not able to identify any privacy issues with the project and can support the project. One thing I did want to clarify for the committee members is that the side yard gate and fencing that you see that lines up with the facade, that is not subject to the DRC's review tonight. And there is also some front yard fencing and columns that were shown on only the landscape plan. That'll be coming back under a separate application. So that is also not up for review tonight, as it was not properly noticed. So just the addition portion tonight.
If I can clarify what you just said, because I'm not sure I heard exactly. You said, I heard the first part, but the second part that you said was about the, I didn't catch that.
No, there's front yard fencing and columns that are proposed only on the landscape plan, and it's not shown on the site plan, and there were no elevation details provided. So that was not publicly noticed. So tonight we'll only be reviewing the addition and the exterior modifications to the facade.
Okay, does that include the front walkway, the front entryway?
The entryway, yes.
At this time, we will ask if any other committee members have questions of staff. No other questions heard? Therefore, we will now ask the applicant or applicant's representatives if you would like to please come up to the podium and state your name and address.
Yes, hi, I'm James Quinn, the architect on the project. My address is 30 North Linden Avenue, Suite 611, Pasadena 91103. I'll be brief. This is the fourth time in the last 20 years I've worked on this house, actually. When I first graduated from college, I remodeled the inside of it. 5 years later, we remodeled the other side of it. 10 years ago, we added the second floor on the right side of it, and now they're getting the laundry room and the mudroom they always wanted. So it's kind of a humble project. So we're adding about 300 feet. Without looking at the numbers, I think 4,700 is allowed. I think we're at 4,400. We're removing the carport or the porte cochere, as she said, which we think is an improvement. And as time has gone by, that has been a bit of an obstacle for them to get to their garage, to get through the porte cochere. So they were happy about that. And yeah, knowing the house so well, we just matched all the details, matched all the looks. The landscape architect is here should you have any questions. There was working as closely together on this, so there may have been some last minute things. So I know those are going to be off-putting, but there's a walkway question or something, he can answer that. Again, there's no setback issues, no height issues, no floor area, no angle plane issues. And we just wanted to add it on so the project was always there.
Anybody have any questions?
Just a question about the light fixture in the front. Okay, I didn't catch that, but I know it's there, I missed it.
The light fixture?
In the front, did that change in the front entry?
You mean the porch light?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that changed.
No. I mean, is it on an elevation or something? The front porch light. Let's see here. No, it's not changing.
Okay.
No other questions? Okay. At this time, I would like to ask if there's anybody here this evening who would like to come up on behalf of this project or against this project and speak. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next portion of this hearing. For the discussion, I will begin with you. Do you want to share your thoughts?
Okay, so much of this addition I found to be very well incorporated into the original design. And in terms of the added square footage, I see it as quite nicely done and respectful to the neighbors and their privacy in particular. Just 2 points that I would like to bring up. The first is the extension to the front entry, which I also think was generally well integrated. The only aspect of concern that I have is the brick seat wall and the columns with the lights behind the little kind of horseshoe shrubbery. It kind of contributes to a walled-off look, which I think is discouraged by our design guidelines, and I would add is not really practical from the point of view of opening car doors either. But the shrubbery provides hopefully enough of what you're looking for. The other aspect is I noticed that the plan is to cut all but one tree in the back corner. And I'm especially wondering about the 4 liquid ambers on the right side of the house, because I don't see that they have anything to do with the proposed addition, and it seems to be the only thing that is giving privacy to the neighbors to the north, to the right. And I noticed that the neighbors in the north didn't respond with to any neighbor's letter. So I'm concerned about that and wondering what the plan is for that. As far as I can tell, the plan is to remove them, but then in another landscape plan, it appears that they're still included in the plan. So that was a little confusing, but in case the plan is to remove them, that concerns me. So,
Committee member, if I may, I know the plans are showing the proposed removal of the trees, but I believe the applicant worked with the city arborist and they are no longer proposing to remove those trees.
okay, but on the plans, though, they are in one place. All of the trees are supposed to be removed, basically. So, I guess we would want that to be updated.
We would need to, when we make a motion, have a condition that supports
Right.
no tree removal. That's a good catch.
Can you re-go on the public comment?
To answer your question, if that can provide clarification to Committee Member Bagnich's question.
Yes, please.
Can we do that? Great.
My name's John Pride. I'm a landscape designer for the project. We actually have a tree removal permit in process. It was submitted prior to the moratorium, but we were denied at least the ability to do anything about it until the moratorium is completed. So the reason why the plans still show they're intended to be removed is because we're in the process. Two things. There is one tree on the east side where it's diseased and almost gone, dead. We need to remove that for the upgraded driveway. The 4 liquid ambers on the other side are damaging the adjoining neighbor's wall and driveway, and that's part of the request. So in the process, the trees are essentially irrelevant at this point until the moratorium is removed or the tree ordinance has been updated, and then we'll deal with the trees at that point, other than the one that needs to be removed for the driveway on the east side.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee members?
You said that the liquid embers are causing trouble to the neighbor's wall, and you said something, I didn't quite get
And their driveway, yeah. So the roots of those trees, and there's also potential damage to the house. We have an arborist report by Bill McKinley, who is, it's all been submitted with Ron Servan, and it's sitting in, what would you call it, just in limbo until the moratorium gets resolved. So the tree issue is essentially irrelevant to what we're proposing at this point. I mean, it doesn't affect anything with respect to the addition, but we're showing it on one plan to be removed because it's part of an overall landscape updated landscape plan, but nothing can happen to them until something's done with the tree ordinance.
Understood. Okay, continuing on. Ben, you have to provide your comments.
Yes, I think it's the addition, since we're just going to comment on the land, not the landscape plan, but just the addition. I think the addition is done very well, compatible, fits the house, and makes a nice complementary design to the house. The front bench, I think 2 feet is a little bit too high. I think if it's going to be a seat wall, it's going to be about 18 inches in height. And I see that it's going to be covered with a boxwood hedge anyway, but I don't think that's a deterrent to this design at all. It kind of fits the overall formal design of the house. But otherwise, I can approve it.
Thank you. And Committee Member Lang, your comments, please.
Yeah, I largely agree with some of the committee member comments. I think that the addition in terms of the house is very reasonable, and I think it fits in with the project. And I know that we're not here to review the fence, but once that's installed, I feel that it will obscure the addition a little bit more, and I'd be able to approve the project in its current state.
Thank you. I would concur with staff findings for the most part and with my colleagues. I think that the house will be more livable with the proposed interior modifications, and I think that the design from an exterior point of view will enhance the home, and really is not visible from the street, but it'll be for the homeowners, the light. And I concur with my colleague that I honestly think that the little seat wall should be only 18 inches, because that's usually what you would have for seating. And I don't think it detracts from the property. I think it will add, and I do think that it should have the greenery in front of it as proposed. So I can support the project. So at this time, I will ask, is there a motion?
I would make a motion to approve of design review case number DRC 18-64, 2240 Robles Avenue, on the condition that I guess we're calling it the brick wall, it would be reduced to 18 inches, and that the existing trees would remain.
Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Second, Cynthia? Do you want to take roll call?
Thank you. Committee Member Wong,
Yes.
Committee Member Bagnich,
Yes.
Committee Member Lundgren,
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. We'll now move on to our fourth agenda item for the evening. Staff.
Agenda item number 4, design review case number DRC 18-66, located at 1333 West Haven Road. The applicant is proposing to construct a one-story addition and remodel, along with exterior modification to the existing two-story home. Staff is able to make the compatibility finding of the addition portion of the project. The only concern that staff has is the new entry door system. It seems to provide a lot of glass surface area, which is inconsistent for this traditional style of the home and inconsistent for the neighborhood. The block consists of homes that are very traditional in styles. Staff is recommending that the transom above the entry door be removed from the entryway, and the side light to have the bottom quarter of the panel be raised solid panel instead of complete glass panel. That would be the only condition that staff is recommending. Outside of that, staff is able to make the finding for the exterior material, colors, and finishes, and recommend approval for the project tonight.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for staff from committee members?
I have one.
Committee Member Johnson Brody.
Because it was not in your staff report this evening, but I believe it was in the staff report that we received, are you no longer suggesting that we should exclude in terms of staff recommendations the light post in the front yard?
I apologize. I simply forgot to include that in my verbal presentation, but staff's recommendation to explicitly exclude the exterior light post that is shown on the material board, on the bottom corner of your material board, if the committee should approve the project tonight, just for clarification and consistency, because this particular item is not shown on the site plan or anywhere else within the plan set that you received.
Thank you for the clarification. Go ahead.
I believe I do see it on the site plan now. I think it's on the plans, and then there's also the model number to the manufacturer that goes with the plans.
So perhaps we can get just clarification from the applicant when they come up, just to verify, and then we understand what the recommendation was from staff. Are there any other questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm James Quinn, 30 North Raymond Avenue, Suite 611, Pasadena. And yeah, like I said, it's a simple one-story addition. A young family table to talk about. The third generation of the same family being able to live in the same house, and they need a bigger kitchen and a bigger breakfast area, so we're doing the addition off the back while we're at it. Some of the old leaky windows and some of the old leaky siding and whatnot, we're replacing that while we're at it. And we're completely fine with the condition on the front door of making it, ours was a little more in keeping with the grids of the windows. The one that's there is very fluffy, but we'll be happy to find something in between. We don't have a problem with that. So that might be all I have to say, but let's see. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you know, again, there's no side setback issues, no floor area issues, no pipe issues. And the post light, I can explain why that's confusing. When you pick lights out of the catalog, they make some lights that can either be on a post, hang from a ceiling, or mount to a wall. And I think when we were making that color materials board, I think that light actually is going to be hanging in the front entry. And I think the person in my office put the post light on there, because I don't see it on the site plan, but either way, we're fine saying a condition with no post light, because we don't really want a post light anyways.
So just to clarify, that would be it, where would that be?
It's on the front. If you look at the elevation, and I think it got duplicated, it's right over the front door. If you look on A6.2, where we're changing the little piece over the front door, the light is actually there.
So if we look at your materials board, you do have exterior pendant light. Is that the one that you're proposing?
Yeah. One version comes on a post and one, I think it's a sconce, and we really only needed to have the one that hangs from the ceiling on that.
Okay.
So yeah, we're fine with the condition that says no post light. Never intended.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
I have one.
Member Lunger?
On the perspective in the front, and also on the perspective that you show over here, the siding is to match the existing. At the existing house, there's two different sidings on the same house.
Yeah, there's on the bottom, it's different than the top, yeah.
But this shows monolithic all the way down.
I think,
So I assume, I don't want to assume.
Right.
Here for you, whether it's going to be the same on the lower or the same on the top.
since we're adding on to the lower, it's going to be the same on the lower, and where we patch windows in the back on the upper, we're going to match the upper.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's mostly a one-story addition, but some of the windows in the back are moving around a little bit, even though the front windows are just going in the same holes. So.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none?
And then maybe could the owner speak just a minute?
Please.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Phil Webb. Yeah, like James mentioned, the home is a third-generation home. It was my grandfather's home. He bought it in 1960, and then my wife and I, Julianne, we just bought the home from my mother and father back in July. So we decided to expand, make a kitchen area a little bit larger for our growing family. We have 4 young kids, 8, 7, 5, and 3. So we think this will fit our family perfectly. So thank you guys for everything.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Seeing there's no more questions, we'll move to our public comment portion. Are there any members of the public that like to come forward to speak for, against, or about this project? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and move to our committee member discussions. Committee member Johnson Burke.
Yeah, I can totally support the project as provided this evening with just the small changes we've talked about. I think that the minor modifications are a nice enhancement to the home. I actually like the treatment over the door. I think it's a nicer feature for the house. I concur with the staff recommendation and appreciate you're willing to go along with changing the front side light and the transom. I can see the windows glass that you have today, the desire to change it. So I support all of that with those changes. And I actually was just, not that you wanted, but because it was on A6.2, I actually thought that the freestanding light if it was intended, was a nice addition to the house. And even though it's not on the street, I hope as a city, we don't ever get to the point where we're like the Stepford home, and every home has to look alike, and I thought it was very befitting of the actual style of the house. So I would just pass that on.
Thank you. Comments from Committee Member Lundgren?
I think it's, the comments I'm going to make is, I can approve it as is. It's very complimentary to the house, very simplistic, and I can support it.
Thank you. Committee Member Banish?
Yes, as with the previous property, in many ways, the addition is very well integrated and respectful to the neighbors. The only thing that I would suggest a change is the faux balcony, which is actually a very minor change in the scope of this project, but I believe it isn't consistent in a couple of ways. Mainly, when you have these faux balconies, even though they're faux balconies and not really intended to be used, they look very awkward if they're not opening front doors. And I looked pretty carefully, and it appears that, and you just confirmed that the windows will remain the same in the front. So, it's really going to look awkward to have that little, balconette or whatever you call it, opening from a window, which may even be a double hung window, I'm not sure. But, and even if those were changed to be French doors, it would really contribute to the look of a two-story entryway, which is quite strongly discouraged by our design guidelines. So apart from that one issue, I could support the project.
Thank you very much. Committee Member Wong?
I think that the addition's a very reasonable size, and I think it fits with the house well. I do agree the front change is nice. I think it fits with the home, and I'd be able to approve this project if we do some alteration with the front door lights and transit.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty much in agreement with the consensus. I would echo also Committee Member Banage's comments regarding the balcony or faux balcony on top. I feel like if it's non-functional, there's no reason to include it. And I think the existing details of the home, it actually is pretty compatible with the home as it exists. Otherwise, with that condition, I'd be able to support the project. Do we have a motion?
I'll make one. I move that we approve DRC case 18-83 with the condition that the transom window and side lights are changed to support staff recommendations as written. And that's it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Committee Member Lundgren with the second. Roll call, please.
Committee Member Chris Wong.
Yes.
Committee Member Batnich.
No, but only because of the balcony issue.
Excuse me. Committee Member Lundgren.
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Bodie.
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang.
No. Staff, can you confirm the motion or the action?
Yes, motion passed.
Yes, thank you. We'll now move on to our last agenda item for the evening. Agenda item number 5. Staff.
Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair. Item number 5 is design review case number DRC 18-83, located at 2895 Cumberland Road. The applicant proposes to install a roofing material in color that is not on the city's pre-approved roof material list. The proposed product is Tilcor steel shake roofing, material in birch color, and the design review committee previously approved the Tilcor steel shake material in birch color at several other properties throughout the city, as listed in the staff report. Staff is able to make the findings that the proposed roofing material is compatible with the neighborhood as well as the existing structure. And staff is able to support the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff from committee members? Seeing none, is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Robert Lansford, Lansford Roofing. We're proposing to put another steel roof on. Seems like we're here every month.
I guess beyond that, is there anything else you'd like to state about the project?
I think she has an old wood shake roof that's pretty beat up. I think this would look pretty close to what she has.
Do you know, just for, what's the existing slope on the roof pitch right now? Okay.
4.5 to 5, I'd say, a little bit more than average, but not steep.
Right.
In it is 2-story.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move into the public comment portion. If there's any members of the public, seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and move to committee member discussions. Committee member Huang.
I think out of the majority of the places that we have looked at the tilt core, it's been pretty easy to approve. I had a little bit of a difficult time when I was driving around here looking at the various roofs, but her roof definitely needs some work, and I think that I would be able to approve of it in this location, but I'd like to see what the other committee members think.
Committee member Bench.
Of course, yes, I noticed that your roof needs some work too, but of course, that's why you're here. I did not think that this particular roof would look good on your house, however. I thought, I did go around to all of the addresses that were given to us by staff for the installations in San Marino, and I generally did not find, I found that they didn't look natural enough and textured enough in terms of just overall not natural enough for the look of most of the houses in our city, unfortunately.
Thank you. Committee member Lundgren.
I went to look at this roof on several locations. I find it so flat in a way. In other cases in the past, we've always had shingles kind of undulate, go back and forth, have a slight relief. But with this one here, since the panels are so long and wide, it tends to be so flat and very straight edge. And even Cedar Light has more style to it and looks like a regular shape. The house that on Cumberland, it may work there because the pitch roof is not very that obvious as compared to the roof that I saw on Santa Anita, which has a lot of roof line that you see. So this may work on it, but with all the different angles, I'm not too sure it's going to look 100% acceptable compared to other roofs in that same neighborhood.
All right, thank you very much. Committee member Johnson-Brook.
Yes, this house has a lot of roof, and it is in need of repair, but the homes where I have approved this product before, which I have stated on the record that I'm not a fan of, have been much more modest in the amount of area that the roof has covered or has been visible from the street. And so I'm not opposed to approving this product in certain circumstances, but this particular house has just a lot of visibility where it's actually sited. And I am concerned that it is a very flat material. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like Laura Cedar Light as an alternative on the approved list. And I'm just not a fan. Again, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to group discussion here, but I'm not a fan for this particular property.
Thank you very much. If you know, from the consensus of the committee, I would say it's a mixed bag. My opinion of this project, or the applicant request, I feel like this property is different than probably any other home that we've approved with the so-called still shake material. I feel like, as committee member Johnson stated, the roof is pretty prominent and visible, and given the sighting on the lot and the corner, being a corner, it is visible from multiple directions. What I did notice, though, specific to the home, was that the roof pitch was not too steep, And so as you approach the home and as you look from the street level, and it's not so prominent, and as prominent, given the siting of the location of the home. Although it is visible, I think this product, given the flatness as described by the committee members, I feel like it's worth a try in the sense that we've continued to approve this product on various styles of homes, various roof line pitches. I'd be interested to see this product in this application, and I feel like it's not horrendous. I think, again, I've also been under the impression that it is not natural looking, and it's very monolithic looking. However, it may work well in this instance, given the specifics to the home and the roof. I would be able to support it for this particular project alone, in this particular instance. Do we have a motion?
May I make one comment before a motion is made? One thing that staff recommended and this committee has always said about this product is when it goes on a property that we approve, it should have a low profile ridge caps.
Correct.
I would hate for a motion to be made without that as part of it, because then it would be too late.
So you're saying to condition with a low ridge profile?
If a motion will be to support the project, I think we should have that as a condition.
Okay, noted. Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve design review case number DRC 18-83 with the condition that the installer use the low ridge profile caps.
I'll second it.
Committee member Huang with the second. Roll call, please.
Committee Member Huang,
Yes.
Committee Member Betnish,
No.
Committee Member Judy Johnson-Brody,
No.
Alternate Committee Member Lundgren,
No.
Vice Chair Chang.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Do we have a motion for denial?
I'll make a motion to deny design review committee case number DRC 18-83, 2895 Cumberland Road.
Second?
Second.
Committee member Lundgren with the second. Roll call, please.
Committee Member Huang,
No.
Committee Member Betnish,
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson-Brody,
Yes.
Alternate Committee Member Lundgren,
Yes.
Chair Chang,
No.
Vice Chair Chang. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I believe that concludes our agenda for this evening. If there's no one here for open forum, we will adjourn. Thank you.